I had to be paying attention to this. I have to. The Snow White with Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot and those creepy looking dwarves, those animated dwarves that are, as I think Critical Drinker called them, nightmare fuel, right? I think it was him that started that. The critic reviews are in. It's coming out. This movie that's been anticipated by audiences everywhere is finally coming out, and everybody is just holding their nose. And I think Disney in many ways is as well. And so on Rotten Tomatoes, it currently has a critic score of 46%. And typically, if there's a film that portrays any kind of messaging, it gets a more positive critic score and tends to do worse with audiences. However, if you go online, like if you just go on YouTube, I mean, the internet, this is no mystery to anybody. The internet has been completely blown up the past, I would say like year and a half almost, with hate for Rachel Zegler. I mean, even everybody's on this. Every podcast, Joe Rogan, Matt Walsh, PBD, I think even Theo Von talked about this. Everybody is hating on Rachel Zegler and this movie. If you follow or watch commentary on movies at all on YouTube, this is a dead horse at this point. I mean, it truly is. This is an absolute dead horse. No one's expecting this to be good. No one's expecting this to be fun. Honestly, I think people are just excited because they get to try to figure out how to leave the most funny comment movie commentary creators YouTube video. You know, I wanted to take a look at some of these critic reviews. I wanted to just like sample them, see what the general vibe is. There's 142 critic reviews so far. Kyle Smith says gloss prevails over heart in nearly every scene, and the plot beats feel contrived. All right. It's too cheesy, too over the top, and too visibly flat, while brimming over with hyperactive theater kid energy that's suited for a Disney princess cruise ship show. Someone just kind of rated it middle of the road. Approach Snow White 2025 with the kindness it deserves. It deserves criticism for what clearly doesn't work and should be abandoned by the industry, but its merits are many. Of all the Disney princesses to revisit, Snow White was the biggest gamble, and unfortunately, it doesn't really pay off. Sweet and delightful with great production design, but lacks the magic and charm of the beloved original. Gal Gadot gives a subpar performance that's similar to her cringe-inducing performance in Death on the Nile. That's interesting. A lot of people online were kind of like hoisting up Gal Gadot, partly because I think everybody online kind of feels bad for her. Like, she's co-starring next to Rachel Zegler, who's been a complete buffoon in the marketing for well over a year. And even like during the election, she just doubled down on how much people are going to dislike her. And then even with like the modern political movements, where you guys heard that whole fiasco where she was, you know, in support of Palestine inside of the promotion for the movie. I believe it was even connected to a post that Gal Gadot made, which is very honestly kind of offensive to her co-star Gal Gadot, because Gal Gadot is Israeli and she even served in the IDF. So the fact that there's like this weird cultural just tear based on which side you're on, right, is really unfortunate, and has even made its way to what is supposed to be the biggest film of the year for Disney. In its own way, this one's just as groundbreaking. The rare Disney princess movie where the princess gets to graduate to queen. That's not even a review. Neither good enough to admire nor bad enough to joyfully skewer. Its mediocrity is among its biggest bummers. Just a movie I'm not going to remember. Well, I don't know with how much talk there's been online, how many, for sure, billions of views that certain creators have gotten collectively on just Snow White commentary alone. It's going to live for a bit. This one's going to be kind of sticking around as like the horrible example, I feel like. Every modification fails to improve the tale, and the whimsy and wonder of fairy tales are missing. It does not honor the original, but shuns it instead. That's what a lot of people felt like Rachel Zegler was doing in all of her press tours, right? Presumably, one of the reasons to bring actors into remakes of animated classics would be to add a warm-blooded pulse to these characters. Zegler manages that, but everyone else in Snow White, mortal or CGI, is as stiff as could be. That's interesting. So here's someone that's actually saying Zegler did a pretty good job acting, but now we have two examples of people kind of either directly or indirectly taking a stab at Gal Gadot's acting. That's very fascinating. A little twist. Somebody get Zegler some icy hot because she carries the weight of the entire movie on her shoulders. Okay, all right, these are critic reviews, right? And maybe they're doing some PR in some way for her reputation, but this is what I'm thinking. You know, she's relatively new on the scene. Like, she only has a few films under her belt, but she came out and the industry just threw her out there. Like, they just pushed her really hard into these major blockbusters. I'm going to be honest with you. I was pretty well a fan of the Hunger Games movies. So when the new Hunger Games, the prequel, that's, you know, talking about the backstory of President Snow, came out, I was like, oh man, if only it didn't have Rachel Zegler in it, you know, like, because I was anticipating, we were already talking about Snow White. Everything was already, the conversation was already out there. We were already having it. And then I went and watched the latest Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And when I finished it, I actually thought, ooh, Rachel Zegler was pretty good. Like, as far as her getting into the character, she actually did a pretty good job. I'm not going to take away her acting chops from her, even if I don't necessarily like her as a person, right? But she's a pretty good actor. It doesn't even bother me to say it at all because I'm not bought into a narrative of like someone's bad no matter what. Like, she actually is a decent actor. Now, when it comes to, you know, I do agree with the whole narrative of, if we're talking about who's fairest, right? Gal Gadot or Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler's cute, but Gal Gadot is beautiful. You know what I mean? But Rachel Zegler's a good actor. So it seems, at least on the critics, that people are saying that Rachel Zegler shines the brightest as far as acting ability in this new film. For every impressive aesthetic choice, Webb makes a disastrous one. Such as the decision to render all 7 dwarves as fully digital creatures. Grumpy, Doc, Sleepy, Dopey. They're all highly unnerving spoonfuls of nightmare fuel. I feel like this guy's been watching Critical Drinker or some other people, I'm sure. Snow White, in pursuit of in offense, Disney has made a film so bland it barely registers. Oh, it doesn't always pay to be the fairest of them all. While Snow White isn't particularly fun or majestic, we must accept that there's nothing wrong with reinterpreting classic tales. No, because then we're just, it's perpetuating at this point, at least in the narrative online, it's perpetuating the point that the original was problematic. And no, we shouldn't be reinterpreting classic tales. We don't have to accept that, at least not in this scenario, because at this point, it's about sending a message to Disney and Hollywood, you know? It's not about just bending over backwards for a particular political narrative. The production values are high and all the enchanted animals are cute. But where are the jokes and where is the personality? Okay, so everything just, it seems like everyone's just saying like the quality at times looks good. And then there's some stuff that's really messed up, but overall, everything feels shallow. The acting is very stiff. And this is just kind of a mess. Like, it doesn't really find itself in this remake. The best thing that can be said for this current live action remake is that there are scenes that will be a treasure trove for drag queens and fans of campy parodies at small equity waiver theaters. What? Rachel Zegler shines as the lead in this bland and underwhelming live action remake of Disney's animated classic. The creative team behind Snow White focuses much more on correcting the outdated elements of the first film rather than celebrating the magic that still endures. Ooh. The only positive outcome for Snow White, Disney's latest live-action reimagine of its classic animated catalog, would be if it inspires a moratorium on such blatant consumerist film studios' pursuits. Okay, that's basically in the common tongue, that basically means like this is so bad that they never want to do another remake again of their freaking princess catalog. The most cursed project of the year turns out to be pretty good, actually. And I think I'll stop there because I'm getting the general vibe. The critics, and I cannot wait to read comments and to see reviews on this movie and Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I truly cannot wait because the audience, this is like a zit in culture that has been waiting to pop. It has been at a whitehead level for months now, and it is ready to just go off. It's out today. It's out. It's coming out this weekend. Oh man, this is going to be such a glorious weekend. Let me know in the comments what you guys are looking forward to. And if you want to watch more videos like this, me talking about movie news, me talking about filmmaking news, even looking at some like indie filmmakers projects and reviewing those, stick around, subscribe to the channel, and like this video. I'd love to hang out with you more.